I'm Andreas Vecchiet, and I'm hosting today's episode of the Moneyverse Show with our personal finance expert, Lionel Lee. This show is all about helping you navigate the world of money, be on top of your personal finances such as income, bills, debts, savings, mortgages, investments, taxes, and family commitments. The show is also about answering your personal finance questions with the help of experts who are experienced with money and have practical suggestions. Our show is purely for education. We are not a financial services organisation, and you will never be sold any financial products and receive information that originates from any financial institution. Comments shared and exchanged in the show are for your personal educational benefit only. Today, we welcome Cosette Lambert to the show. Cosette is currently living in Denver, Colorado, and she recently finished a political science degree at the University of Colorado in Fort Collins. She wants to explore how to effectively manage finances as a young person starting out after university. And today, my co-host again is Lionel Lee, who needs no detailed introduction. He's a recognized finance expert globally. He has also been sought out recently by the Australian's Money Puzzle by James Kirby as the ideal person to decipher how FIRE, or financial independence retire early, works. He is also the author of Journey into the Moneyverse, the Money Habits coloring book for kids, available on the Amazon US website. Over to you, Lionel.
Thank you, Andreas. Welcome, Cosette, to the episode of the Moneyverse Show.
Thank you.
So, how's the weather in Denver?
Cold. We just had an Arctic blast that blew through
my.
here. So it's been, I can't translate it to Celsius, but like 5 degrees Fahrenheit for quite a few days. So it's been
Okay.
pretty cold.
Yeah, I understand cold. So, I live in the northern hemisphere, including the US part of the year. So, yeah,
Gotcha.
I know when it gets cold. I've been stuck.
Nasty.
Yeah, it's nasty. I've been stuck in New York City when the winter storm, comes. It's not a wonderful experience. But of course, if you're nice and cozy, at home or in the hotel room, then that's fine. But heart goes out to the rest of the folks that are on the street, trying
Yeah.
to get home in a snowstorm.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty treacherous.
Yes, well, that's good. And congratulations on graduating from the university in Denver, Colorado.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how do you enjoy your years in the university?
I enjoyed it a lot. I feel like I had the traditional college experience that's expected, at least in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Learned a lot, but I feel like, somewhere where I lacked was kind of figuring out the financial aspect of living on my own, managing finances while also not being able to be a full-time worker, but being responsible for all your bills. So it's kind of a weird
Yes.
in-between zone to be in.
Yeah, I understand that. I think you're not the only one that has gone through that part of adulting or life journey. Many of us have actually been in your shoes, and some of them are actually in your shoes because we've got members who are also in college, still in college right now, and some have graduated recently. And like yourself, probably did part-time work while trying to finish college as well. So it's a pretty common, I guess, life journey that many of us take, whether it's in the States or outside of the US. And
Mhm.
I was just wondering when you were in college, you mentioned that you weren't or you didn't have access to personal finance education or resources. Was personal finance not something that was taught or shared, or available in college?
So I'm sure it was definitely available. However, my major did not fall under that category per se. And elective wise, I never saw anything up that alley. I feel like in high school as well, there was really no education on finances. I don't know if that's a Colorado thing, a United States thing, a world thing, but financial literacy was not an easily accessible thing in my experience. So
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, it's it's important to know. I guess from my point of view, if I were you as a college student, I would um, expect that, regardless of my major, some semblance, of personal finance education should be available across the board for all students, regardless of their major, regardless of how many years they're spending in the university, depending on the course that they take. It should be, not an elective, but just a module that everyone is able to access, even if it's on a self-help basis. So yes, it's I guess it's sad to know that you actually don't have access to that while you were in college. Well, the good thing is we're together today, so we're more than happy to help you with questions that you have, and we understand you've got a question for us. So please feel free to share, and then we'll work through it together.
Absolutely. So I guess my question for you guys is, back to the college thing, life is unpredictable, things happen. And it takes one vet visit or unexpected, subscription that renewed coming your way that can throw you off balance with your entire finances, specifically when they are more limited. So yeah, I guess I'm just kind of asking, what's your advice for navigating that and maintaining some sense of control financially when you are hit with these unexpected kind of financial situations?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I'm just thinking about it, just wearing the college student hat again, and I think one of the first thing that I would actually be looking to do, in order to avoid any kind of personal finance trap or unexpected, or being able to deal with unexpected situations, is to know where my money is coming and going. So I know a lot of the textbook answers to your question would be, firstly, do a budget. The reality is most of our college friends don't really do a budget. I don't know if you do one, but
Nope.
and that's okay. But that's why I say I don't actually ask people to go do a budget. I tell them that the first thing, if we're trying to make sure that we're financially sound, at least when we're in college, is just to know, if we don't have time or interest to do a budget or to keep the budget, know where the money is coming and going. So what that simply means is that if you keep track of how much is coming in, whether it's on a weekly basis or it's on a monthly basis, depending on where your paycheck or stipend comes from, because in some cases, like in your case, you work. So I'm assuming that if you are working, you might actually get paid on a daily basis. You might get paid on a weekly basis. So so you know where your money is coming in, and you know how much, right? So if you're getting paid, for example, the day you've got $50, it's $50. Then the other thing that you just need to know is where your money is going. So if you're getting, for example, $200 a week, and you're actually then spending in total $150 a week, you know that basically you've got 200 minus 50, you've got 50. You don't need a budget to tell you that you've got 50 left over, right? So it makes life a lot simpler for college students, and also young adults who are having challenges just trying to keep track of a budget, or they might just not be the budgeting type. So at least by doing this, by knowing where your money is coming from, how much is coming, where it's going, how much goes out, allows you to know whether you're having a surplus or you're having a deficit for that day or that week or that month. So that would be the starting point. And the reason why I say that's a starting point is, once you get into that groove, then you'll start thinking of budgeting, because you're like, okay, so now I've got $200 coming in for the week. I've spent $150. Like, what did I spend $150 on? So you get a little bit more interested, and then you start doing a little bit more budgeting, and that all that means is you actually then start to break down the details of, okay, I've got $150 of spend, and this is actually where I spent it. And like then you start to do that, and you get more interested. So that's what I would say. The first thing you do is just know where your money's coming from, and then where it's going, and that helps you to get into the whole budgeting groove. And then it helps you when you start to think about budgeting, and you also then want to do budgeting because you're more interested in your money. So that would be the first thing. So I'm just trying to think. The second one I think would be important because we've only got a bit of time between us in this episode. Is debt. The reason why I choose debt as the second important thing to share between us is because most of our friends from college will have graduated with a loan. So they would have actually borrowed some money in order to finish college. So that means that they are starting life as a young working adult already with debt. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, did you actually borrow as well, or took out a college loan?
I did not. Okay. I was fortunate enough that I did not have to. Yeah.
Okay. So that's great. So you're one of the fortunate individuals. I think majority of our friends and members are in that situation where they have a loan, however big or small. So
all my friends are. So I know that's helpful to them.
That's right. So so if you are someone who have a college debt, then my just quick response to the point of debt is try to pay it down as much as possible, even while you're in college, right? So I won't delve into that because you don't have college debt, but I still want to emphasize that as the second point to share with you, because while you don't have college debt, you likely will be having, or maybe you already have, a credit card.
Yep.
So one of the things that I think our Americans do too much of is to actually spend on the credit card, but to actually then roll credit on that card. So while the card is called a credit card, just remember to treat it as a payment tool or payment system, right? So it is not for the purpose of actually accumulating credit, because accumulating credit actually doesn't do any good for you. It just means that you've got a huge credit card debt. So think of the word credit card minus the word credit. Just think of it as card, right? I use it, and whenever I use it, right, I pay it off. So if the payment statement comes at the end of the month, just make sure that you're ready to pay it off. Don't let any of that credit roll over, so you don't actually start your young adult life with debt. And that credit card debt can actually snowball, and the percentages are very high. So I'm just wondering, do you know what your credit card is charging you if you were to incur a credit card interest charge?
Let's see. I can pull it up on my app right now. And I'm sure it's not good right now because I have actually been unemployed for about 2 months. So I've been resorting to the credit card.
Yep.
So let's see if I have it. APR, credit limit, blah, 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 blah. Let me see. What's a normal range for that? You said the
rates are high. So just it might not be exactly what your card is charging you, but on average, our US cards charge up to 24%.
I think that mine is. I think this is right. I think it's at 27%.
Okay, so that's even higher than the average of 24, right? But 24 is already very high, for the year. So if you have $100 of owing to the credit card, right? 24% is basically $24. So you end up with 124. So that's a lot, and that's actually not happening just at one time. It happens every month. So therefore, you're just having a compounding situation with the credit card debt. So my second, point to share is, if you have a credit card, which you do, make sure that you just treat it as a card, right? Clear it every month and not actually use that to roll any kind of credit. And if you find yourself, like you said, you've got 2 months where work has stopped, then and you need to actually find some way to plug your I guess your payments or your expense holes. Find other sources, perhaps go back to your parents, and even if you were to borrow from them and agree to pay them an interest, it will still be much less than 24%, right? So if you even take a bank interest, if you use a bank's loan interest as your benchmark, you will still only be paying them maybe somewhere between 6 to 8%. So that's way better, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
if you don't mind me asking a question to kind of add on to that.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, like, I've hated the way that this has ended up with the credit card. I obviously didn't anticipate being unemployed for the time that I was. That being said, I mean, if I went and paid off my credit card, would you recommend just kind of getting rid of it in the first place if I have no reason to be using it? Like, this is the only time that I've really felt, and as well as in college, but I paid it off, where I had to depend on that. But I really don't want to keep the cycle going of dependency on that.
So if you have a tendency whereby you are using the credit card like a credit card, which most Americans do, so you are not alone, and that will then actually put you into a automatic cycle of credit card debt, because you will be spending. It's not about the spending, actually, it's more that you might have forgotten to actually top up your bank account, to pay the card on time. So there's a lot of things happening at back end that then result in you owing the credit card money, and therefore having to pay interest as well. So one simple option, as you mentioned, is to actually terminate that card. So if you don't have a credit card, then you don't actually have a situation where you're going to be owing principal and interest or payments to a credit card company. Having said that, credit cards have certain advantages, but it just depends on where you are right now in your personal finance journey. Are you comfortable to handle a credit card, to take advantage of some of its benefits while managing your credit card use and payments? If you are in that situation, then I would say keep the credit card, or maybe not keep, but choose a credit card where you're getting advantages. So an advantage that that I can think of, which is practical and useful at some point in time, would be points. So some credit cards give you points. So when you spend, you get points. Those points allow you to redeem, right, for products and services. So essentially, it's like a freebie when you've got enough points. But when you pay for anything in cash, then you don't actually get any of those points. So to me, that would be the advantage of having a credit card. You think of it as a point card. Don't think of it as a credit card. So you're spending on it to get the point benefits, then allow you to get some freebies, available from the credit card. But at the same time, you're still spending as per normal. You pay off the credit card, when the monthly statement comes. And then you're totally fine where your personal finance is concerned, because you'll never be in debt with the card company.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So if you can put yourself into that mindset whereby it's a card, it's not a credit card, I'm not gonna even go touch the credit side. I just use it as a payment gateway. That's it.
Okay. You're making me really want to just get rid of the whole thing, which I think I'm probably going to do after tax return season, when I can actually pay it off. I think it's time to just get rid of it. I'd rather not spend money I don't have.
That's also a good step as well. So I think that's for our young adults, for friends like yourself who have graduated and are going into the workplace. Credit cards can be a real challenge, and they can just put your entire personal finance into a spin. So if you're, again, like you said, you're not ready to deal with it, you might as well just put it aside and not have the hassle. At least life will be a lot more chill. You enjoy life more, and you don't have to worry about that situation happening. And I'm just trying to think, maybe the third thing that I can think about is I don't know how much when you're working and you're spending. I don't know how much surplus you have, but if you do have any surpluses on a regular basis, the third thing I would think of is start putting some money aside into any kind of savings or investment that would allow you to grow the value of that dollar.
Okay.
So it might not sound like a lot, even if you could only put $5 aside a week, or even $5 aside a month, because that's all you can afford. It's better than actually not doing that, because it's highly likely that your $5 will go to a Frappuccino if you didn't put that aside.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I do, and what I did when I was in college is I actually did the reverse. So I kept track of what came in and what went out, because I had very little coming in anyway, so I had to know how much I had. So what I did was, every time I had some money in the bank account on a monthly basis, I would actually take a portion of it and I would put it aside as no touch money. That means I would not touch it at all. It would not even be used for food. It would not even be used for transport. It would be no touch. So what I did with the no touch money was, I actually looked at the banks that I could get access to, and tried to find who had a good, won't say good, maybe who had a savings, deposit or savings account deal that gave me a high interest. So I would actually then put that money into that bank account. So there are many banks who don't actually require a minimum. So I didn't have to save up $1,000 to open a bank account. They would take my $50, for example. So I would do that. And of course I would hopefully, if that bank continues to give me high interest in that account for a longer period, then I would just remain with that. But occasionally there are other banks that would come in, with a promotion. I would then switch banks. So I would withdraw the money from that bank account, as in the bank account A. I would put it to bank account B for a higher interest. So it seems like a lot of work, but then again, I only did that one simple thing. But that helped me to actually build up some savings from when I was in college. It wasn't a lot, but it was a good starting point. So, and I did that on a regular basis. So I did that on a monthly basis. So if you've got surplus, coming in for that month, then you can do that. Or if you are aware of what's coming in and what's going out, you might decide to say, okay, let me do what Lionel did when he was in college, and let me have some no-touch money. So this no-touch money goes into a savings account. These days, because there are apps that actually allow you to do micro investments, so like you could have $50, for example, put against some kind of a stock or share or bond, you might want to consider that as well. But again, the reason why I didn't mention that as the first thing to do and just put in a savings account is because a savings account is just a lot easier to deal with in the early stage, right, of your personal finance journey, because you don't have to think so much. It's just about comparing one bank versus another bank. But with a micro investment, then you've got to spend a bit of time to understand how the stock market works, to understand the different stocks and shares. Even if you're buying into some kind of a fund where you don't have to choose the stocks and shares, it's still important to understand what happens with that fund as well, because you don't want to find out 6 months down the road that your $50 is actually dwindled down to maybe $20 because the funds perform poorly, or even worse still, after 5 years realize that all the money that you've been putting into that particular fund every month of every year is actually worth a lot less than when you were putting in that amount. So that's the other thing that you could look at if you had time to understand how the stock market works and how funds work as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I think those are the three things that comes to mind that I think would be easy peasy starting points for yourself just post college out in the workplace and trying to get your personal finances together.
Well, that all was very helpful. I'm going to sit for about the next 5 days and really question all my financial decisions and, make a new game plan for how I'm going to be going forward. But this has been a lot of information. That's all pretty good. Yeah. Thank you.
Pleasure. And again, the conversation doesn't end here. So we're more than happy to answer any questions that you have on an ongoing basis. And also, as you are spending the next 5 days thinking through or reviewing your own personal plans, and you've got other questions that pop up, or it's you're maybe unsure about something that we've discussed today, you're more than welcome to also share with us, via comments on the YouTube channel and via email. And we can continue to support you through those channels as well.
Awesome. I appreciate it so much. Thank you, Lionel.
Pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us today, Cosette.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks, Cosette, for your time, and Lionel for your sage advice yet again. To follow our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, I Want a Better Life. We welcome you to share your money questions on the show, and if you'd like to join us, please visit the Contact Us page on our website, www.intothemoneyverse.com. That's intothemoneyverse, one word, .com. Thanks very much, and see you next time.